It's June 20th, 2023, and this is Sketchworks NewsBrake. The news stops here. I'm Brian Troxel. Yesterday was Juneteenth, the holiday observed to recognize the end of slavery. To celebrate, white CEOs gave their white upper-middle-class employees the day off so they could be served by underpaid minorities. Juneteenth fell on a Monday this year, meaning Garfield's been canceled. In San Francisco, authorities seized enough fentanyl to kill the city's entire population. Well, at least rent will be affordable there now. Following his interview with presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, host Joe Rogan tweeted a challenge to vaccine advocate Peter Hotez to debate Kennedy on his show, pledging $100,000 to charity. Billionaire investor Bill Ackman tweeted that he'd add $150,000 to Joe's donation. Billionaire Elon Musk then tweeted that Hotez knows he's wrong. Suddenly, billionaire Mark Cuban sent a tweet defending Hotez. Now, spotting an opportunity to gain attention, millionaire country star John Rich tweeted his support for the debate. And that's when Sketchworks NewsBrake correspondent and hundredaire Tim Millard entered the fray by tweeting his wordle. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a law that bans local governments from requiring water breaks for outdoor workers. This goes to show you everything is bigger in Texas, even deaths from heat stroke. On Saturday, King Charles took part in his first Trooping of the Colors as reigning monarch. While soldiers marched and horses trotted, a military band played. Their music completely drowned out by the motorcycle sounds made by Screamin' Prince Louis. At least 41 people were killed, and even more students were abducted after a vicious attack on a school in Uganda. These senior pranks are just getting out of hand. Thank you so much to everyone here in Atlanta that came out to see our latest live show, Sketchy Solstice, over the last 2 weekends. It was honestly one of my favorite shows that I've ever been a part of. If you aren't in Atlanta, we have a live stream of closing night on our YouTube channel if you'd like to see what you missed. And speaking of our YouTube channel, thanks again to our new subscribers for clicking the subscribe button. If you'd like us to thank you for clicking the subscribe button, then click the subscribe button. And if you comment below that you did, we'll even mention you next week during the show. And now, back to the nonsense. Twitter is being evicted from its Colorado office since it owes its landlord 3 months' rent. In related news, Truth Social just expanded their South Florida headquarters from 1 porta potty to 2. A Penn State professor was put on leave after he was found in the forest molesting a dog. Said Penn State administrators, "That's appalling. Were there no children available?" Drug dealers in Canada tried to smuggle methamphetamine to New Zealand by hiding it in maple syrup. Sounds like Walter White is getting into the syrup racket now that Aunt Jemima is out. A submersible vehicle visiting the wreckage of the Titanic went missing on Monday. It's reported that there are 5 people on board. Man, once that iceberg got a taste of blood. Did no one see this sequel coming? A study published in Wednesday's issue of Nature indicates Saturn's icy moon Enceladus has all the ingredients needed to produce life: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and alcohol. Johns Hopkins University released a new glossary of LGBTQ terms, where they defined a lesbian as a non-man attracted to another non-man, which explains why the squirrels in my neighborhood drive Subarus. In a moment that was not at all in the least bit staged, Kourtney Kardashian held up a sign at a Blink-182 concert this weekend, which read, "Travis, I'm pregnant." Travis Barker later commented, "That sign could have been held up by any number of women. I'm relieved it was my wife." The best way to distinguish Kourtney Kardashian from her four sisters is that Kourtney is the only one who has exclusively dated white guys. Not me, though. After less than a year and only one podcast series, Spotify has ended its relationship with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Prince Harry responded, "It's not fair. No one told us we couldn't use ChatGPT to make our content." In news about podcasts that actually exist, according to a new report from the Pew Research Center, true crime podcasts accounted for 24% of the top-ranked podcasts, with the other 76% being alpha males trying to decipher a dollar bill. The Recording Academy took a hard stance against AI, stating that only human creators are eligible for awards. As a result, the only award being given out next year is Best Narration. What's that? AI can also do narration? Well, this just in, the Grammys' newest award category is Best Use of AI. Speaking of AI, a radio station in Portland is causing concern by cloning the voice of its female host and using that AI version to record some of her segments. To keep the DJ staff from panicking, the station reassured them that the female AI will not be paid as much as the men. The woman in Ecuador who came to life during her own wake last week has died. Again. Probably for real this time. When questioned how they could be sure, doctors said, "This time we pinched her really hard." But just to be safe, her loved ones have agreed that the best thing to do is to have her decapitated. Her family is hoping for no further sequels because otherwise the woman will become as predictable as the Fast and Furious franchise. Don Triplett, the first person diagnosed with autism and known as Rain Man, died last week at 89 years old. His last words were, "Actually, I'm 89 years, 3 months, 10 days, and 4 hours old." This week brings us the NBA draft, and French phenom Victor Wembanyama is projected to be selected number 1 overall by the San Antonio Spurs. Not to brag, but I too once made a basketball goal. A report by some people at the University of Chicago finds that alcohol consumption may impair those who are heavy drinkers more than was previously realized. But, like me at this moment, they're too drunk to care. A California restaurant owner used a fake priest to get workers to confess their sins. Worse yet, the person hired was a method actor, so now there's also a molestation investigation. The Diocese of Sacramento was happy to report, "This time it wasn't us." A northern snakehead fish was captured last month, which is a huge concern because it preys on native species. Officials say if you see one, kill it, gut it, and sell it to the sushi guys at Kroger. Speaking of fish, beneath the waves of a Wisconsin lake, a scuba diver and a wild fish have formed an improbable bond, meeting each summer in a heartwarming reunion that defies their differences. How on earth do a man and a fish meet? I mean, that can't be... Oh, plentyoffish.com. All makes sense now. Police in Scotland arrested a Delta Airlines pilot who they say showed up drunk to his flight. Meanwhile, Spirit Airlines fired a pilot who failed to show up drunk to his flight. Even Spirit has standards. And that's all for Sketchworks NewsBrake. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. I'm Brian Troxel. Say hi to your mom for me. She obviously doesn't have any standards.
Well, we're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean.